link. Happy I am to have Paul Deitch here today. We've had conversations on Zoom. Paul's been a tremendous supporter of what we're doing, and actually a lot of Paul's input has been integrated in what we're doing, and we're constantly trying to do better. And what we're learning, many things, but what I'll share real quick is it's not a me, it's a we platform. It works better when people combine. Chat is open, so feel free. That's what really drives this program is your comments, your thoughts. This is ability to make connections with like-minded people, to get seen, to get heard, and to feel like, the challenge with providing something that might be somewhat hard to do can be matched by the answer you may get that relieve you of future challenges with it. So with that said, let me turn it over to Paul. Paul can share a little bit about himself and more, as importantly, what he sees about the show and what he hopes to be able to provide to the audience today. Paul, take it away.
Hey, Don, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time. And we're going to do our best to serve you well today. And the thing that I love so much about this show was that not only did it create a community, but there was a lot of insight, a lot of thought leaders, and so much vulnerability where it inspired major change. And I've started to see that, from people that I've connected with in the show, and they've tagged me in posts, and I get to see so many things. And I think that at the end of the day, it's really all about what you can do for others and serving. Because I know for me personally, the greatest thing that I've done is helping people. Every single time that I was at a place where maybe it wasn't the greatest place for me, serving somebody was always the best solution for me. And that's what I loved about it so much.
Well, that's great. And, Paul really is of service and is a giver. And, like we always say, givers get. And, people have to know that you care before they really know much about you or want to know more about you. And with that said, Christine's the first to come on the line. Hi, Don and Paul here in mostly multitasking.
Hey, Christine, love seeing your posts and happy belated birthday.
Well, yeah, I hope you had a wonderful birthday. I know it was yesterday, and it's so nice to share it with new friends and family. I think, Paul, you got a little background noise going on.
What was that?
I think we have some background noise.
Oh, okay.
Through. Okay, I don't hear it now. Great. So yeah, hi, Christine. Hi, everybody else. This is today's show. I want to share as many people with as many topics as we can because it's really what we like to do and prefer is respond to what's relevant today, what's on your mind. To Paul's point, I find that so many people are in need of service and so many people are capable of providing the service. A lot of times it's just matching the people up in a safe, trusting environment. And Christine says, thank you. I did a stranger paid for me at the nails. Wow. It's really good to be able to share stories because it gives it more power. Right? And it continues to spread that story through others and possibly replace unserving stories. So, you got to look at everything as dropping a pebble in a little lake. It ripples. It doesn't just fall right down. And the more you can ripple out, the more you can attract in. So, it's really the law of abundance. And if you're not getting it's not because you're not deserving, you're just not giving enough. And that could be activity. It doesn't have to be generosity. It could be anything that helps fortify and fulfill somebody else, right? It could be, in most cases, it's sharing, so there is no generosity if everybody gives each other equal measure, right? Everything is fair from the beginning. So, I just see people like Christine and and Paul and Mario, and I can just, all the people because you've seen all the people. And I would say the almost vast majority are pretty successful, pretty sophisticated. And what's even more gratifying is people see it fast and it's meaningful. They can identify something when they actually get to experience it. And it's something that's lacking and in such a big way that a program like this could satisfy a lot of people. I mean, we could have 100,000 people watching this right now, and it would be the same program with me and Paul. It wouldn't change a thing. Except we'd probably get some more questions. So with that said, Paul, how have you evolved over time? And what's your mission going forward?
Well, it's really interesting because when I first got to LinkedIn, my goal was really just to use it for lead generation, right? Generate business. And one of the things that has been so transformational for me is that gratitude was a big thing that I practiced last year. And when I got on LinkedIn, it was a completely different game changer than any of the other social media platforms that I was on. And I guess I came in during the Green Banner Network, where there were mass layoffs and everybody was looking for work. And I was blown away because I saw so many people experiencing tragedy, but yet they treated their situation with gratitude. And that was when I realized not only was it aligning to what I was personally practicing, but I realized that it gave me an opportunity to help these people, right? So my mission and goal on LinkedIn's really changed from being, using it for lead generation to just connecting and networking with people. If I can't, at the end of the day, right, business is all about solving problems and helping people to make a positive impact. And I realized that if I can't do something, then my network can. And at the end of the day, it's always been about helping people for me. So in terms of my impact and my personal mission, I'm really big on financial education and helping people to achieve financial freedom and live life on their terms, because I believe that that's how life was intended for us to live. And it's been probably the most gratifying thing that I've ever done.
Well, that's great. And you're young, and it's great to kind of know what your passion is and how you can follow it, and maybe get help from a few other people along the way that could make the difference for you, because everybody needs their own individual board of directors, the
Right.
3 to 5 people that they can trust, they can share with, and they can get value as well as give value, and everybody teaches each other how to provide value by the value that they're already providing. So I think that, again, if no one's too big for themselves and they're able to connect with people at anybody's level and respect everybody for being a person, and what I was saying yesterday is so many people have the 80 and miss the 20, and so many people have the 20 and miss the 80, that if you can combine those people, you get 2 wholes out of something that couldn't have been whole by itself. And too many people are looking for more than themselves. They want to get 50 and get 70, or 80, and it never happens. And if it does, it doesn't sustain very well. So really look at everything that you do And, ask yourself, why are you doing this? Where did you ever start doing this? And what is it doing for you now? And it's like closet cleaning, right? You look
Yeah.
at things that served you well, you enjoyed, but you outgrew, or it outgrew you, or whatever. And you decide to keep moving, keep changing. When you get up every day, you keep moving during the day. You're walking somewhere, sitting somewhere, doing something
Yeah.
somewhere, right? So you're always going to be moving, but why aren't you moving with activity that drives thought, that helps other people, versus where am I going to eat today? All about yourself. So the more you serve, the less you worry about yourself. And there's one thing about service, is doing it itself is worthwhile, but seeing the result makes it all worthwhile, right? To see somebody that now has a house they couldn't have, or was able
Yeah.
to go on a trip they always wanted. And it, makes people dream, believe again, hope again, and really live again, right? Because it's all perception. I see so many people who have had so less than me and are so much happier at times.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, that wealth doesn't always make you happy, and
Yep.
less doesn't make you unhappy. There's a saying, I've been broke, but I never been broken.
Mhm.
And that's an important thought for people, because being broke is just a financial result, right? Spend more
Yeah.
than you got, or owe more than you have, or it doesn't matter, because it's where you are, not where you have to be, because
Yeah.
the game plays. And one last thing about money, and I'm all for it. I think it does a lot of good, and that's the key to what I'm about to say. Is someone who was pretty wise told me money makes good people better and bad people worse, right?
Yep.
And it's what you do with it, how you do with it. Um, and I think this is a way of bringing perspective to
Yeah.
people. I mean, just like from your financial education and everything else, it's really about the insights that you can share with people that really solve that little puzzle in their head that says, now I got it. And getting more people to get it will allow them to teach you what they learned from getting it, and now you get it back. So it all kind of cycles. So what's your thoughts on that, Paul?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, Don, when you were talking about wealth, I had a different perspective, right? Everybody always talks about like abundance and money or health, but I think that for me, wealth is really about peace of mind. I had a really life-changing experience last year when I got COVID really bad in June, and it it was so weird because prior to that, I'm a big fan of walking like you. I walked pretty much every day for 3 years, and the the fact that I couldn't do that, but I was still like working, in my business. I was still closing deals. I was still making money, doing all these things. I realized that what I wanted to do more than ever was like walk. And I think that the biggest takeaway that I got from that is that, they always say like money can buy, people say money can buy you happiness, but I think that what it does really is it allows you to change the quality of your problems. Money wasn't something that I grew up in, and through like my own experience, I've been on both sides of the coin where I've had I've had nothing and I had to work my way up and all these type of things, and I realized that it really is all about, at whatever level you're at, everybody has problems, right? But it's about changing the quality of your problems. And to your point about how you talked about earlier about, there's people who are broke. There's a saying that I learned from training with Grant Cardone last year, and he talked about how being broke isn't your reality, but it's, for many people, it's their mentality. And that's
Mhm.
when I realized that a lot of people talk about mindset. That's the number one thing that people need to focus on for money too. And it's true what you said, money, it does. Everyone said, I don't know if you've heard the saying, but I grew up, like everyone said that money is like the root of all evil or whatever. But I learned last year that all money does is it amplifies the type of person that you already are. To your
Mm,
point of what you were saying, how like if you're a good person, you're going to use it for good. If you're not, then you're going to use it in that way. But I think that the reason why it's so important, especially in today's world, is that we live in a world where money can buy, just about everything. And that was something that I had to learn last year. And it's important because the more and more that you understand it, the more that you're able to get control of your life. And one of the questions that I'll always ask people, right? Because people are so big on like bucket lists, I'll ask them, did what are like some of your goals, like all-time goals that you want to do? And people will list it out. And I'll ask them the question, if you had more money now, could you do those goals? And the answer for most people is always yes. And I was like, so that's when you realize like you get the perspective of, okay, it's not necessarily like what it is, because it's just a piece of paper, it's what it does.
mm-hmm. Well, and people who covet money usually never had any, because if they had enough, they would know that it's not the answer. It might be a partial answer, but the key is it doesn't make you as happy as people would think. Because just like anything else, if you get a raise at work, when you get it, you're really excited and happy, and everybody around you is happy. And after a while, it becomes an entitlement, right? Where you just expect it now, even though it's the same new money every week. You've gotten used to it. Right? You buy a new car and you just love the smell of it and driving it and everything else. And after about 2 weeks, it's a car. So let me say hello to Tanya Bugby. Tanya's a great lady. She's got a great show of
Okay,
her
Tanya.
own. I'm going to be on her show. This is a great opportunity to connect with individuals like Paul, like Tanya, like Christine. Cindy's here too. But thank you, Tanya. It's always great to see you. You bring such a positive, shining spirit to wherever you go. So well appreciated and recognized. Cindy's here.
Morning, Cynthia.
Great to see you. Had a great conversation with both Tanya, Cindy, for quite a bit of time, and I want to get to know everybody. This isn't this is, to me, is the beginning, right? It's how far do you want to go, and how far can we go? It's going to make all the difference. Tanya, nice perspective on money. I hope I use it for good. Well, at least it's in your mind now, so that's half of it. Now you just got to get it. Thank you, Don. I appreciate your kind words. Absolutely. And well-deserved. That's what everybody should be here for, is trust your judgment and then share your judgment with people who think might benefit. Whether they accept it or not, it was the gesture and the intention that should count. No one guarantees anything. And at the end of the day, all you can do is ask somebody to present you with something and allow you to take over and build on value. And if not, you're going to build on experience. To Paul's point, this whole show, I've been doing it every day for 8 months, right? That's about 240 of these in a row. And, it started with me by myself, and no one knows the first day but you that you're going to do it, right? You're the first person to step out of the house before anybody sees you. And then, Tara Gooch saw it, created this whole cool get together with Trevor and Gretchen and Jenny, and then everybody brought a friend. Someone knew Jenny, someone knew Gretchen. I just want to share that what I'm learning, I'm integrating with who I'm projecting. So here's an example, which is my new profile. And what it says is, elevate your mindset for LinkedIn success. So really, it's what I'm just taking what we're doing, what people are telling me, what we're feeling, and that's why I love to have these conversations, experience an uplifting, transformational LinkedIn Live today. 11 a.m. Enjoy reinvention, knowledge share, live chat, and empathetic support for quality of life. Because a lot of people are starting to focus on what it's doing for their mindset. We could sit here and talk about strategies, and actually I'm going to be launching a 1 hour a week collaboration session that is really for people to all get on Zoom together and sit and work on specific personalized elements and issues. But with that said, if this is good for us, everything I'm doing, I'm bringing into. I created a newsletter. It's on its third issue. It has 10,000 subscribers now. And all it does is share, here's our 7 daily LinkedIn Lives, and honors everybody who is on it. And then the best comments of the week, I share with everybody. So all they have to do is, here's what people are saying. Here's the lives if you missed them. And it gives everybody an opportunity to share them. Because the network you gain here is the network you attract here. Right? So I'm bringing in as many people, probably about 400 people will view this. So it will be seen by 400 thought leaders, and all of a sudden will be seen and heard for who and what he is based on his ability to share it, versus somebody's profile who just says, I'm a this, right? I do this. Well, that's not very deep. And you really don't know what to share because you only got so much room and everybody's interested in maybe a different part. And that's getting on live with people who people respect and appreciate makes the most sense. So here we are. Thank you. Cindy says, Paul, what do you do? Sorry, just came in. So you could explain in a little bit, Paul, what you are doing and hope to do.
Yeah, Cynthia. So I'm a financial strategist, speaker, and entrepreneur. I create strategies to help people build generational wealth without risk.
Okay. Well, that's great. But here's what's so important about Paul and the people who seem to be coming together, and we're building an excellent core group. They sincerely care because of what they're doing with and for the show, because there is no financial benefit for anybody. I've been doing this 8 months to build value, to learn it, to understand it before I even ever think of what am I going to do with it or how am I going to charge for it, because once the value's there, it pays for itself. When you're a profit participator, it's great. When every month you get a little bit bigger check for the same things you've done, and hopefully you can build residual income through something like this, where you work today and get paid tomorrow, and that's through repurposing content because it's already there. Nick Constantino, good morning. I believe Paul has something in his background that his microphone is picking up. It's overriding everything. Yeah, I kind of felt a little background static or noise.
Is it okay now?
Yeah. Okay.
I
don't hear. I'll tell you when it isn't. But thank you, Nick. That was so nice of you, because we don't know what we don't know. And until somebody shares it with us, to me, it's like if you see somebody that you care for and their shoes are untied, right? Do you take the time to say, hey, your shoes are untied, or say, hey, I don't want to bother the person, or, but how bad would you feel if they tripped? And that's the key. So thank you very much. And one thing about me, I welcome feedback as long as it's meant in the right way, it's constructive. My feelings have a long way before they get hurt from people who are trying to help. Nick gives us the thumbs up. It's thumbs better up. Now.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick. You'll always be remembered for this. Yes, absolutely. Got a confirmation on that. See how nice it is? Even little favors go a long way because it's an exercise. Someone went
Yep.
out of their way to point it out. And, I don't blame you, because if it's making noise and stuff like that, why not share it? Because if it's making noise for you, it's making noise for people like you and other people in future.
Right.
So, we're all in this together. Nick is really typing away today. Thank you for the sunshine. And that's so nice to have the people here who took the time out, who could have done something else and tried to do something for themselves and hopefully for other people like themselves. And that's how this continues to grow. Well, great. Learn from Nick.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got a voice, use it, and when you use it well, don't be a mouse, be a superhero.
I always tell people,
Go ahead, Paul.
oh no, I was going to say, I always tell people, I may have a lot of superpowers, but unfortunately I'm not psychic. So unless you like communicate with me, I can't read your mind.
Yeah, well, that's, and I think that the thing is sharing is caring, and like I say, givers get, and it's what are you giving every day? Because you've got a lot to give. That's the thing is you're sitting there with so much experience, so many insights, so many different relationships that you paid a heavy price for. And why not take what you paid and share it with somebody for free that they can get real value? And then it makes your adversity or challenge more worthwhile because someone else got the benefit too. So, that's so important.
Community.
And it says community is what must be successful. We are better together. Sorry, I'm sounding like a Hallmark card. I miss Hallmark cards and I miss cards. Because you didn't get many of them. It's funny, if you look at all the emails you got or get, how many of those would be cards if they had to actually buy it, write something in it, buy a stamp and mail it?
Yeah.
And most of it was reserved for special occasions, right? Birthday cards, anniversary cards, whatever cards, they were significant for a specific reason. And we kind of got away from that. And, well, you got Hallmark movies now, so maybe the cards got replaced with something a little bit more robust. Cindy says, it'd be great for a work card. The thing is that's great, Cindy, because it really lends itself to imagination and what if. Don't accept what was. You be the master of what is and what will be. And if you can't do it, could we do it? That's the key. You never know. But if you know you're short and you're not going to get whole by yourself anytime soon, reach out and share that with people. Somebody might have an extra, right? Whatever it is. And sometimes, what's funny is if you are looking for money, ask for advice. And if you're looking for advice, ask for money. And I think it goes along with anything in life. If you're short, make sure people are aware of it. It no one has to be in a bad spot, but at least, I didn't know. And what you do is you get people thinking. And pretty soon, it's typically not them, it's somebody they know, right? It's like, my pipe just broke, I need a plumber. Well, I'm not a plumber, but I can find you one or no one. Lost art, the handwritten note. I try to do one a day. Well, that's good exercise because, it makes you think and do something physical, with your hand. Here's a good one. Here's a question from you too, Dow. I do not believe in easing into meeting people. So when LinkedIn connections say too soon, when you ask questions after connecting, like, mind if I ask, and only if you're open to sharing. Well, here's the thing that I know for sure. You can't help anybody with anything they don't already tell you they need first.
Yeah.
Right? you can't just go up to people and say, it's not because what you got doesn't have value. It's really two things. Did you take the time to really figure out if that was it? If you only have one shot, and sometimes not even that, when do you want to take it? And based on what
Yeah.
type of information do you want to do it? Because to get more, let's say, activity with less conversion,
Yep.
doesn't help anybody. So, what do you think, Paul?
So that's a great question, in terms of like easing in, and I used like all the social media platforms last year when I started my entrepreneur journey, and I think that one of the things that I loved so much about LinkedIn was the main goal in business, right? Is you're trying to sort people. I mean, it's so hard to tell like whether or not you want to, but you have an idea. And I think that's kind of like what this question is asking, right? Like, how do you figure out like whether or not you want to connect, or are they asking me what are my personal and professional goals? Or is that like the question that they're asking connections? Because I interpreted it as like they're reaching out to people and like trying to connect with that big question.
Well, it
I'm
seems
curious.
like it's about connecting with somebody and then reaching out and asking them these questions, and they
Okay. Yeah.
they feel it's too soon. Now, there's a difference. I am not a proponent of connecting and in a millisecond getting a proposition,
Hmm.
right? Someone wants to connect, you connect, and all of a sudden you got, here's what I do, and we've got a special deal right now, and here's a something,
Yeah.
and what I do believe is everybody who connected like I did gets the same thing,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm going to be like everybody else, why would I personalize my attention back to that person?
Yeah.
And what it did is it just disqualified them from being a connection. Some
Yeah.
people think because they connect with you, it's like ironclad, that
Right.
you can't block them or you can't get rid of them, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And what people have to understand is when you just get in the door, you got to earn people's respect, and you got to
Right.
respect the
For
people,
sure.
right? And I think people are never understood, or never cared to understand. But whatever the reason, there's 875 million people. You shouldn't wait for anybody, and you shouldn't fix anybody. Um, here is how do you respond? I think we just did. Hopefully that helped you, Nick. Great question. Cindy Nordstrom agreed. Uh, only if you're open to sharing. What are your personal or professional goals for 2023? Great question, because I never thought I'd be where I am today, doing what I'm doing right now,
Same.
and leveraging something that's so obvious,
Yeah.
that is so unfulfilled and unattended to, which is uh, people's mindset, people's attitude, people's mental
Yeah.
health. I mean, why not get it out and open? One thing, I'm always, I keep everything confidential. When people tell me something that's personal and they
Yeah.
tell it only to me, I don't say anything. I'll tell you a rule: how people talk about other people is how they talk about you, right?
Yeah.
So if they're gossiping about somebody, believe me, you're the next one on their agenda. And then they show themselves. Now it's your responsibility to be thoughtful and not, I had a partner who was hugely successful. And he told me when we first met, don't ever say something in public that you wouldn't want on the front page of your newspaper. Right.
Yeah.
And if you use it as a rule, you'll never get in trouble. You'll never embarrass yourself, and definitely not embarrass him. So, it's what turns you on the most turns other people like you on the most. What you respect, other people respect. And you want to be with like-minded people. You don't want everybody to love you, because you got no room for
Yeah.
875 million people if you did. So,
Yeah,
there's a saying, don't get greedy. The saying really goes, and some of these sayings are pretty illustrative. Pigs eat, hogs get slaughtered,
hmm
and if everybody just does something within fairness, they'll live forever. But if someone
yeah,
starts eating everybody else's food and pushy and intimidating, they miss out. Christine, is it ever too late to get your finances in order? I don't think so. I mean,
yeah,
it's never too late to get anything in order, because it
yeah,
has an order that it's going to play in. So many people have it stacked in the wrong way, prioritize the wrong things at the wrong time. So it's really about getting into balance, you
yeah,
know?
for
And
sure.
Paul could probably talk to that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, that's a great question, Christine. And I think so many people, the problem that I've noticed when I meet with people is that because people aren't where they want to be, they underestimate where they're currently at. And what I mean by that is like people actually have more money, more assets, more things that they can utilize than they actually think about. It's just that you're so far off of like your ideal goal or where you want to be that's why people think that they're so behind. And I think to touch off of like what Nick was saying in terms of how do you respond, um, for me, it's always been a conversation. A lot of the shows and speaking engagements that I've gotten, or even like client and business through LinkedIn, has always been from having a conversation. So, and it's the same thing for Christine too. Sit down and have a conversation with someone. And I honestly do believe that with the way that the world's evolved so much, that there's so many different strategies. I mean, if you just look at somebody like Grant Cardone, for example, he's in his 60s, but he's like the number one marketer, influencer in social media. So it's like, it's never too late to find massive success in whatever you want to achieve. I think personally, it's all about your mindset and then taking the actions to get there.
Yeah, good response. That was very strong. It reminds me of a story of a 90-year-old man who's planting a tree in his front yard. And a young guy comes by and says, "Old man, what are you planting that tree? You'll never live long enough to see it." And the old man says, "Well, there's only two philosophies in life: live like you're going to die today or live forever. And I plan
Yeah,
on living forever." And, when you can start looking at things from that perspective, and more
yeah,
importantly, from others' perspectives. Like I say, a smart person learns from their mistakes. A really smart person learns from other people's mistakes. And that's
yeah,
another reason to join together is to help each other not be in situations that now that you know or learned what you wouldn't get yourself in. Maybe you can save somebody from that, and that's gratifying.
yeah,
Nick says only if we're open to sharing what's your personal and professional goals. We're almost answering that, and I said I'm so like astounded that
yeah.
by just letting things go and
hmm
letting things flow and blending things and watching it happen, intentionally but also organically, we've got a
Yeah,
movement here. And the movement is really uplift your mind. Too many people are so focused on here's the strategy, here's the strategy. Well, if you're not taking
yeah,
action against the strategy, if you're not going on the stage, shining, glowing, happy, they say the most depressing thing is for a soldier to walk into a general's tent and see the general with his head in his hands, crying his heart out, right? People project what you kind of reflect to them. Pet peeve, all the salesmen, but wait, I can get you. They are almost putting a flag up
yeah,
saying I'm an allergy to you, and you know it. And to me, it's like when you're driving fast, you don't even see the side of the road,
yeah,
right? You're just so focused on the lane you're in, the people around you, It's the same thing on LinkedIn. You can't get distracted. No one should take you off course. And the other thing it does is just not a time suck. It's a thought
Yeah.
suck. Now your mind is like, boy, you know what, a nerve, or blah, 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 blah. Christine, okay, we talked about that.
We talked about that one, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is this allows people to be a little thought provoking. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people offline, Zooms, where
Yeah.
just something I said ignited something that was in their past that they brought it back, and it was a funny memory or a worthwhile story. So, you know, people can get you off of center and guide you to where you want to be. And it doesn't take much, you know, and that's why I think laughter is so important. You know, taking time to treat yourself well, even if it's small favor to yourself, you know, get a Starbucks or get something. You know, there were times when I would drive to work and my mind was so not into being there, and I knew it, that along the way I'd see a park and I'd spend an hour walking around and then get back in my car and going to work, you know? And it would just made sense for me, but also I saved everybody from what would have been, you know, a ripple effect that I really didn't want to have. Cindy says, Don, you always get people to think. Well, I do. And that's, yes, my goals of 2023 is empowerment for as many people. I want to advance this group. Like I say, the next thing is I'm going to create this collaborative group that's meeting every week. It's extremely cost efficient, and I'm going to probably be given a free month trial, so there's no risk. You know, and what it's going to do is really allow people to form a working group together, a thinking group together. I mean, this is halfway home. You know, this is people in the audience, people on the screen, and then really work with people to form working groups for themselves. Because I know what I've also created and empowered is more and more people who wouldn't think about doing a LinkedIn Live are starting to do it, from getting their teeth wet, I guess, or cut by just being a co-host. And I think Paul can testify that it really has been a seamless, easy experience. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
Yeah, it's funny because I've been on a few of these like shows and LinkedIn Live, and I think one of the things that I love so much about yours, Don, is that it really is like a true conversation. Nothing's like rehearsed or scripted. You be yourself and be authentic. And I think that the whole point for me anyway is it's always about like powerful conversations, right? In terms of what Cynthia was saying, like always getting people to think, because think about so many things and the way that people are going about everyday life where they're not thinking. You know, one of the things, because I'm in finance, is I always ask people, like, before you make this purchase, did you like think about it? And they're like, oh no, I didn't think about it. You know, we think after the fact instead of before. So it's nice to have these powerful conversations, because one of my mentors told me that when you conquer your conversations, you'll conquer your world, because it really is such a crucial point of not just business, but life as well.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there's so many truisms to what creates success. And everybody knows kind of a little bit about it. But again, can one person do it all, especially if they're coming from a position that they've kind of backed into, right? So, you know, they've got some things to deal with, and then they got to deal with their opportunity. And I think, you know, by seeing so many people who really need and desire help, but don't know who to trust, don't know who to turn to, and in a lot of ways can't afford it, right? So by coming together in these collaborative type groups, there's always somebody with a little bit more heart that they have to share, and there's somebody with a little bit more need that they need some heart to get over. And another thing is it's just knowing someone's there. In almost all cases, it's going to come down to you doing what you got to do. But can someone make you feel a little bit more reason for doing it? And what I found is when you start feeling sorry for yourself and you think everything you have you didn't deserve, there's a lot of people around you who care about you in ways you don't know, who you're important to. And can you gamble that just on your situation and being involved in pity? And tomorrow's not going to make it any better. It's going to make it worse,
Right.
because the more you back away, the harder it is to go forward, and the faster you go forward, the harder it is to back away. So I think we covered a lot of areas today. I'm open to some final questions. I sure appreciate everybody who's come on, because without you, it's a much shorter show. And it's not as gratifying. Plus, every time anybody steps out, anytime someone shares something that's been maybe hid deep, it's very refreshing, and you've created more space for new things. I mean, when you clean out a closet, not only do you get rid of things you're not using, but someone's going to get something that they really need to have. And you're going to open yourself up for some more space for things that now are more relevant or satisfying. And all of a sudden, you're going to change your look a little. Little things start with just little actions, and then they compound with people who want to really put, gasoline on the fire. Paul, do you have? Okay, that was just back to that. So yeah, I want to thank everybody. It's been a great session. I hope that people will feel like sharing it, because that's what gets it out there. And remember, one day you're going to be here. And how do you want people to support and promote you? And there's a difference between having good intentions and taking action with those good intentions to show that. I mean, why not go the whole route? If you're going to say it and believe it, why not practice it? And the funny thing about LinkedIn, it's just buttons. You got a like button, that takes you less than a second. You got a comment, which will be, hey, I loved your show because of this, if there was something you loved because of this. And then you got to share. Just was exposed to a great thing with Paul Deitch and Don Cohen. Thought you might like it. Well, if you don't have anything to post today, post that, because it's something. Your name will get out there. You'll have done something, and it took nothing except thought you might be interested. Very much. You're very welcome, Nick, and thank you for your contribution, because you're really, especially sharing challenges that we weren't as focused on or as aware of. And everything that people do, and that's why I try to recognize and support them, is something that if you did, you'd get the same recognition and support. And believe me, more and more people now know Nick than he was 40 minutes ago. And not yet. I mean, I can't tell you how much exposure. It's not a hype. There's going to be hundreds of people who are related to LinkedIn Live, related to me, believe in me. I have some credibility, which gives you third-party validation and just success through association. If you're hanging around with the right crowd, you're recognized as part of that crowd. Even if you're just walking with people. I am sharing you to my team. Why not share to everybody should share. Make an exercise. And if you know and you don't do, then the question is, why not? And
Great meeting you, Cynthia.
Yeah, if you're going to want to be promoted, promote. That's the best way. You're most welcome. Well, thank you, Nick. I hope we have a chance to see you again. And I'm more than happy to jump on a Zoom with you, and I'll send out an invite after this. And if there's anybody who wants to talk to me, put it in a comment or reach out to me. I'll set up a call. Everybody, and it shows you how important you are, because my calls are not 15, 20 minutes. My calls are when everybody runs out of something that's relevant to talk about. Because I'm there, you're there. Why not
Yeah.
share and do it the best way possible? Of course, my network too. And people are starting to see and hear this from people like Tara Gooch,
Yeah.
just to be kind and thoughtful. Sarah Dawkins, by the way, will be here tomorrow. She was here last Sunday, just had the most compelling story, motivating, inspiring experiences to share. And she actually broke every record, had 161 comments just during the show,
Wow.
And what it did, it lit people's imagination up, memory up. And you're so much braver when you're with a crowd of your best friends,
Yeah.
right? If you're going to Vegas or you're going somewhere and having fun and you got 10 friends, you'll do things you never would have done on your own, just because you got caught up in it, or you didn't feel like you're the only person on the dance floor. Cindy says, whoops, Cindy says, Don, my husband said, wow, you were on that call for an hour and a half. I had no idea we went that long. Yeah. And every Zoom call I have, I want to use it to get as much as I can when we can together. Right. And a lot of times you forget the second call, and if you ever have it, where you were on half of the first call, when you kind of just share as much as you can, and everybody then gets a real feel for you, not just a part of you, and that seems to be more lasting. So I know it's pretty close to closing time. So what would you like to say in conclusion, and how was this for you, Paul?
I thought this was an incredible experience. Don, I grew up with my grandparents, so a lot of the slogans and things that you throw out I'm able to identify with, and I love the conversation. I think, one of the biggest things that you always talk about on every show, right, is feedback. Like, that's what thrives the show, that's what drives the show. And I'm curious for you, because you've been an entrepreneur obviously like longer than I have, and for in my year since I started, I found like looking at feedback as a learning experience, right? Constructive criticism, like good or bad, just taking it and saying, hey, this is how this person feels. I can't control that, but I'm gonna say thank you for the feedback, look at it in a positive light, and move forward. And I think that that's so powerful for so many people too, when you're looking at life as well, right? Because there's always going to be something that comes your way. Like, we all have something goes wrong, or the day never goes to plan. But just looking at it as, well, this happened, but I'm moving forward. So I think that's always the biggest takeaways that I have from your shows, because we were on a couple days ago. There were like audio issues, video issues, but
Yeah.
the show went on, and I think the biggest thing is really just action. I think I always hear people saying like knowledge is power, but it's really about like implementation. I mean, you can have all the knowledge and all this in the world, but if you don't take action and if you don't do anything, then that's it's wasted. There's so many people that can benefit from your stories, your knowledge, and sharing it. That was the biggest, I would say, piece of advice that I ever got from one of my mentors. She said, too many people are busy being the best kept secret. And she said, if there's nothing that you do in the world to share your story.
Yeah, that's profound. And hopefully that, you know, just does enough to move somebody off of center, or starts
Yeah.
moving somebody in the position of, I should do it. And no one should suffer alone,
Yeah.
and no one should have to not find somebody, and it's surprising how many people you think judge you that are just like, or in some cases in worse position than you are, you know? And when you know that, you're actually helping somebody by maybe getting them to make the next step. Oh, Rashida's
Yep.
here before we said goodbye. Good evening from
Rashida.
Antwerp, Belgium. Rashida's just a phenomenal lady who's got a tremendous background and experience. I mean, I could spend a whole session, and I probably will sometime, just recognizing all the wonderful people who have kind of made this what it is, because
Yep.
it's now got a life of its own because of the value it brings, not the person. You know, I'm the messenger, not the message. And the message
Yeah.
can live forever and should, and incorporate it not just to make you happy, but to make you successful at whatever you choose to do, you know, and that'll make you happier. So, you know, anybody can say, well, geez, it's a bumpy ride, but this is making it easier. Well, enough of this can get you off of the bumps, you know,
Yep.
and get you into smooth sailing. And then there's nothing like breaking free into the wide open, you know. Whenever you're watching a game like football and someone's got nothing but open field for like 70 yards, I mean, the whole stadium blows up in energy and excitement. And everybody should feel that and should know that it's possible today, right? Because other people are doing it and experience it today. So, you know, the last thing I'll leave you with is, I'll first leave you with what Rashida says. Thank you for the comment. Just got off work, but I'll rewatch and comment later on. Well, thank you. You know, I'll tell you what's funny is there are so many people when they started watching it would say, boy, I really enjoyed it, but I'm so busy. And now I'm getting the same people a few days later, and it's usually after me and them have a call for a long time, to say, I'm blocking this out every day. You know, this is going to be, you know, on my calendar. And you know what it does? It lends itself to a beginning commitment that will then get a follow-up commitment and then get overwhelming support from people around them. And, you know, pretty soon you'll get your 5 board of directors you always wanted. And you'll be one of 5 boards of directors. So look at how exponential that could be. So what you really want is the best launching pad, the best booster rockets when you get off the ground, which is going to be your board of directors, and the joy of flying. So anyways, thank you all. Share as much as you can. Comment wherever that it's sincere and authentic. Reach out to Paul. I give Paul credit for making the move onto LinkedIn Live. And, you know, I'm always on the lookout for supporters. And I go out of my way to find things to demonstrate my gratitude and appreciation and, you know, help them as much as I can, because it reinforces it and keeps it coming back to you. And then you just ratchet up together. So anyways, thanks everybody. I can't tell you how much I appreciate and look forward to tomorrow. So every day in every way. Talk to you later. Thanks, Paul.